the Predator 2. I haven't watched that in a while.
Yeah, and after watching Prey, I really do want to watch Predator 2. So,
Yeah.
there's some things in there. And oh, hey, guess what? We are live at 5. Welcome, everybody. Happy Sunday to all of you out there. How's it going?
Absolutely. I don't know if you can tell where I'm at right now, but this is Matt Parham over here, blending seamlessly into the background,
Yep, that's Matt
as you can
Parham.
tell.
I'm Chris Matthews. And my God, man, without Sly Stallone, we wouldn't have anything to review today.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Not a thing. So find out why and how here on our podcast today. Well, not the podcast. It's a broadcast now. So let's get into
Sorry,
it.
Sawyer. Bling.
Can you hear that? Can you hear like my
No, but I just know that it's coming.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, today, guys, we're reviewing. I can't talk. Today we're reviewing Predator and Prey, but first we're gonna be tackling Prey on this live broadcast. So if you guys have seen it here on our show, if you are joining us, if you decide to come in to here, we're being broadcast on our new platform, Twitch. We just got an account there, as well as Facebook, as well as YouTube. So any of those, you can actually go in there, check us out, and leave us a comment.
Live.
So yeah, so live, you can do all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna pull up the multi-stream here so that you guys, if you decide to leave a comment, go right ahead. I'll read it on the air. If you've checked out Prey, if you have some comments about Predator, let us know. We'll all be there. So yeah, let's get
Absolutely.
into the episode of Prey. How about
Yep.
we do that?
And man, I'm super
Oh, not.
excited now. We've both seen this movie and wanted to talk about it, but we've avoided discussing it amongst ourselves so that we could do it here live with all of you. But these are some awesome flicks that we're about to go over, and it's finally happened. I can't wait, man.
Yeah, so I was very excited, and especially after I saw Prey, I was extremely excited to talk about this stuff with you, Matt, because it was a fun experience. I absolutely love the Predator franchise. I don't know if you can tell that or not, but it's been a lot of fun.
I thought you just like biceps. I thought that's what the shirt was about.
Those two, so
Arm wrestling.
I do. So I love these movies. I love this franchise. I didn't quite love the last couple of movies that they actually produced before Prey.
Yeah.
So going in, I was just like, this might be okay. I don't know how this is gonna be. But yeah, it looks like we do have a viewer in the stream here. So welcome to the show once again. I'm
Sweet action.
yeah, sweet action here. I'm Chris Matthews, and my co-host here on Fatherly Fandom broadcast is Matt Parham. So it's nice of you to join us. We're going to be talking about Prey and Predator today on the show. Happy Sunday to everybody. I got plenty of coffee. I don't know about you, but every morning I make a huge breakfast for my kids. I don't know if any other parent does this.
Right there with you, brother.
But what I do is I cook them stuff, and I think I'm definitely giving my kids unrealistic expectations about portion sizes for bacon. I make them a ton of bacon, So I might be doing them a disservice, but man, and I never get it. There's no leftovers ever on the bacon, but on the waffle.
That's all right. There isn't enough high cholesterol out there, so I'm glad you're contributing.
Yes, I very much am. They'll burn it off, right? It's great. And on the waffle, so I do this thing where we have Eggo waffles and everything, and I put Nutella on them, so it's like a Nutella Eggo sandwich that they get. So yes, I spoil my kids when it comes to that stuff. And what my
breakfast of champions.
And like with a pizza, some people leave the crust and everything. My daughter does the exact same thing with the Eggo sandwich, and I'm trying to rationalize. I'm like, but it's the same edge. You eat the majority of it, but she always leaves like a little sliver.
It's all kind of edge.
And there's like a pile of the leftover waffle things. It's a little mountain and everything. It's pretty fun. So she does.
That's hilarious. I remember whenever my kids were first kind of getting the concept of what a sandwich and a hamburger and those kinds of things are, the two pieces of bread
Yeah.
and the stuff in the middle. And I remember they would flip it sideways and just like eat right through the center of it. And why are you doing
Yeah.
that? And they don't mind crust or anything, but that's just how they figured out. Same with burritos; they would just grab them and like gnaw into them like a rib.
Right.
You're gonna make a giant mess, but.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
it looks like we got our first comment from Donna Lander. So she says, hey, Matt. Hey, Chris. So, hey to you.
Hey, how's it going?
Yes. Mother.
Mama
That's my mom.
Landers. That's right.
So I think on one of our last streams, Patty actually
We got
liked
both
our
the
stuff.
moms.
We got both the moms, so we are going up in the world here on Fatherly Fandom. Success.
Sweet. Our first and primary fans since the day we were both born, right?
Yes, exactly.
Our longest fans. Our longest fans.
Neither of us
Yeah.
would be here without them. So thank you. Tip of the hat to you. Thank you so much. We love that
Absolutely.
on Fatherly Fandoms. Fathers have mothers too, and we love you both. So it's absolutely
right.
wonderful. All right, man. So how's your weekend been going, buddy?
Well, it's been going great, like you, and I know that we both talked about this slightly. Not what our opinions are of these films, but mostly how many times we viewed them.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to check out Prey again last night, and I got to say, I'm just still blown away by how cool this movie really was.
Oh my gosh!
I can't wait to get into it. So
yeah,
let's
you guys are in for a treat today. This is gonna be an awesome talk. And if you haven't seen Prey, please go check it out. We're gonna be uploading this to YouTube as well after the fact as well, so you'll be able to see this later on for our review. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. It is awesome, and we're gonna be talking all about
Hulu exclusively, so
Yes.
you do have to have Hulu. Predator, you can find a number of different ways. If you don't own the movie, like myself, you can go on Hulu as well. And I think they've got nearly all the Predator films on Hulu right now.
Yes, I think that they do. I think they have most of them on there. Predator 2's on there as well. The Alien versus Predators. Not my cup
Predators.
of tea. Yeah. Predators was pretty good. I like that one too. I think that was okay. So
Yeah.
out of all of them, so I did like that one. What was that guy? What was the main actor on that one? Is the pianist guy, right?
Oh, Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody.
Yeah.
So Donna, she's sorry. I'm at work and the ED is killing us. So my mom works in a laboratory. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I do as well. We both work in there. So tireless. You guys don't see us behind the scenes, but we got people working behind the scenes in the hospital that are making sure that you guys get all your labs. And for me in the blood bank, saving lives behind the scenes. That's what I love to do.
Donna's definitely one of them. So
Absolutely.
thank you for your service.
Yes.
Mama Landers.
So we're a little bit more relaxed here on the live stream for this Sunday broadcast, but we're gonna get into it here in just a second. We got 3 viewers now. This is awesome. So 3 people are checking out our channel. You know, we're a smaller channel here at Fatherly Fandom. We're just getting started. So really, and if you enjoy this kind of kooky, fun reviews that we have and this interesting information, then go ahead and grab your handy little hatchet and chop that like button on us for this feed for YouTube as well as Facebook and everything. And if you can, go get to the chopper!
Out of the stump.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take it back out.
Then hatchet us on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, everywhere.
All that kind of stuff.
We're pretty much in all the big ones.
Yeah.
Facebook.
All those good ones. So go ahead and get your bow and arrow out and go shoot at that subscribe button if you can, because
we're laying on thick.
Yeah, so that's the best way that you can.
On pretty thick this morning.
This is Fatherly Fandom, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't. We have something like over 50 people that like our Facebook page. Right now, I think we got 20 people that are subscribed to the channel. So if all of you guys can go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube, that'll help us out a lot, as well as liking the video. That'll push us out to other people and a broader audience so that we can present this kooky, crazy stuff to the entire world. So go ahead and do that for us.
Right.
if you can. So, Matt, I don't know about you, but I think it's probably time that we get into a little bit of
I think it's about.
Prey. Okay, so let's get started with some Prey. All right. So, Prey, and I looked this up too. It's become Hulu's biggest movie ever. Now,
Understandably so.
right? So, Disney and 20th Century Studios, they have now announced that Prey is Hulu's biggest premiere ever. There's no specific viewership that's been like given out, like for how many people there is for the new Predator movie, but it's been watched more than any other movie in the first 3 days that it premiered on Hulu. So it's a huge deal. Lots of people have checked it out, and this was directed by Dan Trachtenberg and written by Patrick Asen. And it was an absolute surprise for me, Matt. I don't know about you. I went into this with low expectations, didn't think anything of it.
I actually did. I was anticipating this movie for a little bit, so I was glad that it lived up to my expectations because I had heard of this concept that they were going to do basically this Predator movie set 300 years in the past in like the Native American West, and it was going to be all primitive and primal and stuff. And I was like, oh man, that sounds pretty freaking awesome. So yeah, let's do it. And it lived up to the hype for me. So
so I
really enjoyed it.
We were thinking of movies to do on Sundays and whatnot, and Matt suggested Prey, and I was like, oh yeah, and I didn't even know it was out. So I went and checked it out last week, and oh my god, like I said, absolute surprise for me. So it wasn't even on my radar really. I didn't think much of it, even though I loved Predator. So I got really turned off by the last movie, The Predator. You know, I like Shane Black, but it was just a little too kooky for me. It like went off the rails in the story, and it didn't take it seriously. It wasn't earnest, and that's the thing that I love the most about this movie was how earnest it was and how serious it took the material. Not just the alien parts, but the story in general, and that's what makes a good Predator movie for me. You can actually take the elements out of the alien elements out, and you still have a solid story there. They did that with the original Predator. They've done that with this film too. I think, at least in my humble opinion. Y'all too. Yeah. Donna has said y'all too was that being lifesavers and whatnot. Yes, because Matt's a nurse practitioner as well, right?
No,
he's a nurse manager. That's right.
Yeah.
Hope.
No, but I think that the Predator was Shane Black trying to sort of get the campiness of the old one, which definitely sets the two apart.
That's true.
Predator and Prey. One is a very serious tone. Prey being taking itself extremely serious. And Predator was definitely an Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle. It's got the one-liners. It's got the campiness. It's got Shane Black as Hawkins. And all that stuff is just solid 80s gold.
Yeah.
So I think you can't really find that magic again. There's just nothing wrong with the OG here.
No.
And to me, they should have just left it alone. But, it's a huge franchise now, and so of course, Prey is awesome. The Predator was its own thing, and I'm sure we're going to get even more sequels. So,
and we'll discuss more Predator not all gonna be when we review the film. We'll discuss more of that when we get to there. But yeah, you can't just remake what was done before in the 80s and whatnot. And we've seen this with Rocky as well as Creed. You got to kind of reinvent the wheel in a way, but you got to still have respect for the past as well, too. So for me, this film does something that I absolutely love. It shows you so much more than telling you. It shows you in the film rather than telling you in Prey. In the opening of Prey, you're perfectly set up and planted into this world of the Comanche tribe, and are shown through the first act story beats that you see that the European settlers are a threat with the trap that they have through Naru's dog, who is named Coco, by the way, which is a shelter dog that they actually rescued for the movie. So which is awesome. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. And so Naru's dog gets caught in the metal trap, and you see the buffalo are skinned in the field as well. So you see all these ominous presence that's out there. So you know that European settlers are in the area and whatnot, and that they're a threat. And you get a sense of how powerful Nauru's character is too. I mean, just with the sound, like when she was using the hatchet on the trees and practicing while she was doing foraging,
Yeah.
it's just like scoom, scoom, in the accuracy too.
Right.
So you're seeing a lot of this character development in the shots that they're portraying with this. And you actually feel the weight with that sound and the thud. All this is relayed to us as an audience without narration, which I absolutely love. And you see Naru as a healer as well when she puts on the medicine on her dog's tail from the trap. So you know a couple things right off the bat. You're like, wow, this Comanche Native American is powerful. She wants to be a warrior. She's not happy where she's at in her caste, as it were. And you know that she's got some training and medicine and whatnot, so she's a healer as well. You get all that just from what we have seen and not said. I love it when a movie can do that. It's beautifully done. In this movie, it actually takes you back to basics, unlike the silly and campiness that we've seen in some of the latter Predator films like we've talked about. This one is more earnest, like I was talking about. It's earnest, and it takes its time to develop the characters, which gives weight to the situation that makes you feel real danger when this alien actually does show up. I mean, I felt it with this one, and that was a feat to do that. And seeing a Predator...
Well, and I love that bringing in of the natural elements that you're talking about there, because, like you say, the Predator obviously comes in as the main villain of this movie, but not the only thing that our heroes have to come up against. I mean, the natural elements, the bears, the fur trappers, all these other things are a part of what this very vulnerable character they set up.
I never thought I would see a bear, a Predator take on a bear like that. That was especially thrilling to me.
Was awesome.
Wasn't it? It's like, and I wonder too in the pitch meetings or something if they're like, it would be really cool. Let's get a grizzly bear to attack the Predator.
I feel like that is exactly how that conversation went. Like, we must have the Predator take on a grizzly,
right? And that whole scene too, where you have the mouse that eats the fly, and then the rattlesnake eats the mouse, and then the snake that's obviously taken out by the predator. Just showing the hierarchy of predators in the natural environment that we're seeing. That was another really cool shot, showing you, not telling you, kind of where things are placed, as well as the wolf interaction too. So many things in this, and I loved a lot of it. This was actually filmed on location too in Alberta, Canada, and in the First Nation tribe area, which is beautifully shot. And for me, I love how it definitely, and for the Predator, if we're looking at the Predator, I love how they incorporated a skull-like mask on the Predator, and the design. It's awesome. It leads you.
It doesn't have quite the same technology as we've seen in the earlier films.
Right. So it leads you to understand that this is a very ruthless and vicious member of the Yautja species. It's with a Y. It's like that's the name of the species for the Predators was Yautja. I might be saying it wrong. Yautja. Have anybody in the chat?
No? It's an alien tongue, so we're not going to fault you on that one. Nobody's you get the 3 dots on you now, so we'll see.
Well, crap. So Prey does seem to be an amazing. To me, I instantly saw the parallels with the original Alien movie by Ridley Scott, because you have that female protagonist, you have all these tough guys that are around her that are getting taken out, and she's the only one to survive this thing and actually conquer and defeat her enemy, the antagonist of the film. So absolutely, and I love Alien too. So taking the best parts of Alien and incorporating into this and bringing us into a setting that's 300 years in the past, into the Comanche Nation, it all just works well together. And, just seeing all this stuff is beautifully done.
Right. I mean, you're constantly on edge the entire movie. Just you have this very young actress, Amber Midthunter, who's playing Naru there.
Yes.
And just like I said, the vulnerability is there immediately, but obviously she has strength. She shows that she's efficient at hunting, and that she's looking to take on her first prey. Or I don't know. It's just I got the idea in the film that like they had to go out and prove themselves by bringing in the object of their hunt. It was the mountain lion for the brother, and then
Yep.
it became the predator for Naru.
Yep.
And so you just get the idea, like, of course, that's what they're setting up, but how in the world is she going to do this with such primitive weapons
Yeah.
against space alien, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, the predator, we know from the previous movies, is also doing this same sort of quest
Hmm.
to prove itself to
Very
its own
similar. Yeah.
race. So,
Very similar
yeah, the
quest.
viciousness is there, like in all the
Yeah.
films.
And hats off to the producers and writers of this, and those that the casting director as well, because I love the Native American representation in this movie, and it's awesome. It's great to see all these Native American cast members on this, and providing for this, and so it's beautiful to see that representation in this movie. And the one qualm that I'm gonna have with this movie is I wish, and this is something that like period pieces and movies that take place in other lands with other native tongues do constantly, is they present it as the actors and the characters speaking English. And so this is a Comanche nation, and I would have loved if they would have spoken the dialogue in Comanche rather than in English. Now, originally the director said that he was originally going to have it start in Comanche and then transition into English. We've seen this with other shows like Lost and other things like that. Um,
Right.
but I really would have enjoyed that. I don't know, like I know that other people might have had a problem with that because like some people find it distracting to have to read subtitles, but at the same time, it kind of took me out of the film a little bit because I want it to be as real as possible. So this Comanche nation did not
Yeah.
speak English; they spoke Comanche, and so I would have loved
Right.
to have seen the movie be as real as possible when it comes to that, because they took such care with this movie, with the environment, with the actors, with how they showed everything, all the costuming, everything is very accurate. So the only thing that wasn't was them speaking English. So I would have loved to
Yeah.
seen that. Luckily though, you guys can on Hulu, if you go into the extras features, there's actually a Comanche dub that's available, and I actually watched that one as well. So I went back and watched that, and it's a dub. So like their mouth isn't going to actually be
Fine.
be
Yeah.
succinct to the Comanche dialogue that's being spoken. So that can be a little distracting. Ultimately, I would have liked to have seen it in that, but I gotta say, like, and one of my other things that I had a qualm with, and I don't know if you did too, Matt, but the CGI was nice, but at the same time, I thought that it could have used another couple of
Yep.
passes. It wasn't the highest quality. Uh, but really, they
That's
were able to do an amazing job with a budget of 65 million, and it didn't distract me as much. I still enjoyed it. What about you?
right. That's exactly what I was going to say. Really, my only qualm was the CGI
Yeah,
in parts.
yeah, in parts.
It was interesting because I think that they did all right with like
Hmm.
the whitetail deer, I believe, was at the beginning, and then the grizzly. But
Hmm.
with both of those, obviously there's animal protection laws and stuff. They can't use actual animals for those type of fight
Yeah.
scenes and stuff. But I think what benefited the scenes with the deer and the bear is that they were obscured a lot or seen at a distance, whereas the mountain lion one is coming right at the main character, and so you can tell a little bit more. Just the movement is a little bit too fluid and not as realistic. And then I think they do what they can do with those, but I don't know why they actually needed to show the Predator's spacecraft.
Mm.
To me, that was probably the worst CGI of the movie.
Oh,
Again, not hugely distracting, but whenever that flyover occurs, not the one in the clouds, but just whenever the ship is leaving,
yeah. When he's
it's
first
just like the
introduced.
distancing was off.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I don't even know why they needed to show that, because we know what this is going
Hmm.
in. I don't think anybody's watching this as like an introduction
Yeah.
to the Predator character. So we've got the idea. I don't know that we needed a passover shot of the or the flyover shot of the alien
Yeah,
spacecraft.
and interestingly enough, like the writers and the producers of this wanted to kind of keep it a secret that this was actually a Predator film. That's one of the reasons why it was named Prey to begin with.
Yeah,
And it would have been, yeah, like you said, like if they didn't show the spacecraft at that point, and we all of a sudden get like the Predator in a scene, and we didn't know going in. Oh man, can you imagine? But that's really hard to do these days. I mean, there's so many leaks, so they weren't able to accomplish that feat. But if
right.
they were, it would have been awesome to see there on that thing. But yeah, I agree. Like they didn't really need to show the spaceship. We've seen it
Mhm.
before. I mean, so yeah, I can agree with that. It wasn't as distracting for me as some of the animals were, because these are live creatures that we see in nature as well. You have this broad, beautiful landscape that we're seeing that's real, that they're filming on location, and then you have CGI bears and CGI animals, and that to me it just doesn't look
Yeah,
right. So again,
right.
not to fault anybody that worked on these things, they do look amazing and everything, but for me, they could have looked a little bit better. It's okay to have opinions and criticisms of these things. I absolutely love this movie, and I've watched it like 3 or 4 times now, so
Yeah,
it doesn't hinder me from my love of it. But it's if I was to go, if there was anything that I was willing to put up there that I didn't like, that would be one of those things. So let's talk about
yeah.
ratings here. What would I rate this movie out of 10? I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10. So Chris Matthews gives Prey a 9 out of 10 and a solid A rating here. So that's my
Absolutely.
little thing on there.
Yeah,
What about you, Matt?
yeah. 9 out of 10 for me as well. We're just going to continue, to agree with each other because
Oh man,
I
nice.
think we're both going in maybe with different expectations,
Mm-hmm.
but we both like the same things of the original Predator. I
Yeah.
think we both like the same things as far as cinematography goes. So it was a beautifully shot movie. The
Wow.
natural elements were in there quite a bit. Reminded me in places of The Revenant. If you've seen that movie
Oh,
before,
yeah.
they went to painstaking efforts to get nature in all of its harsh beauty
Yeah.
on the screen, and went to some
Mm-hmm.
very remote locations to shoot that movie. Here, they did so as well, and it totally shows. I mean, you're
Oh
just
man.
immersed in this wilderness, and you
Yeah.
realize that the beauty is there, but also there's so much danger.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the predator being part of that mix is just one other thing, like I was saying before, that our main characters have to deal with. So 9 out of 10 for the tension, 9 out of 10 for the environments, the cinematography, the acting.
Yeah.
The CGI effects take it down just a little bit because while they weren't as polished, in a distraction for me in some parts, overall it doesn't hinder the movie by much.
Not at all.
So yeah, 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed this film, and I think any fan of the Predator franchise will enjoy this as well.
Oh
I
yeah.
look forward to any future installments by this team. If they
Mm,
end up
me
doing,
too.
this would be awesome to see a Predator in any kind of historical
Mm-hmm.
environment, but the having it there in the wilderness with the like you said, First Nation group
Mm-hmm.
was really cool to see.
It
Just
was.
blown away.
Yeah, and
So
they kind of tease too at the end. So they have those skins with the drawings on them, which go through the entire story of Prey during the credit scene. And at the
yeah.
very end, you see 3 ships that are coming in, which that in the story happens
Right.
after this movie. So I do think
Yeah.
that there's a little bit of alluding to maybe a sequel to this one. The other thing is there's a pistol that's shown in there that's Raphael Adolini's, and it's shown, and it's actually one that shows up in Predator 2, and it's an artifact that's given to Danny Glover's character.
Oh,
Yeah, so
that's
that
where that comes from. I was like, they
it's got to be
really lingered
something.
on that shot of the pistol. What does that
Yeah.
mean? But okay, there we go.
So yeah, Naru got it from a French trapper, and eventually the predators, the Yatchas, get that pistol back. So there's got to be a story there on how they get that back from
Yeah.
Naru. So just saying,
Cool.
Predator 2, it links up.
Yep.
Yeah, and that movie's pretty interesting because like it goes into like the world. Predator 2, there was like global warming took effect and it's like really hot in LA and like there's gang wars everywhere. It's kind of like a
Yeah.
dystopian
Took it in a totally
future
different
in
direction.
the 90s. So it's kind of like it's its own thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
And then
yeah,
we just got all these sort of random resets in The Predator and Predators. Like,
yeah.
oh, pretty much none of that happened.
It's
So,
kind of a loosely knit together franchise, but it was really cool to see that. Another thing that they talked about is there's a comic book about a pirate ship, a pirate crew that comes into contact with a predator, and that actually takes place before this, like in 17. This one was 1719,
ah,
so this was supposed to take place in 1718 or something. So they're thinking that maybe
yeah.
they might make a pirate version of Predator back in the day as well. I don't know. I kind of want to see this timeline. I kind of want to see these characters again if we can, if it's done
Yeah.
with care as this one was done. So that'd be really cool to see for me. So there's definitely things that they could do. They can continue this on, and I'm definitely down. I'm so down for seeing that. I was kind of
Yeah.
I love the Predator franchise and everything, and it hasn't been on my radar, but now it's definitely something that this movie has reinvigorated my love of the Predator. So I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. I hope that they stay away from the Alien franchise, keep it separate, because I didn't like that with Alien versus Predator and the second one as well. I was just
Yeah.
like,
It
don't
should have
link
been
them.
much better than what it was.
Yeah, exactly. So now, like this is part of the episode where we talk about something extra from the movies and everything. So I brought up some production notes and things like that. Kind of talked about a couple of things while we were reviewing the episode too. But we'll go ahead and go in the behind the scenes stuff for Prey. So let's go ahead and talk about some of this stuff. That I compiled up for us, and so I wanted to find out like how did this movie get made? Like when did this come about? Like it's like because it seemed to come out of the blue, at least for me. I'm sure other people have been tracking it for quite a while, but they actually began development of Prey during the production of Shane Black's directed film The Predator, the one from 2018. So Dan Trachtenberg and Patrick Asen, they approached the producer John Davis with the concept of this movie, and they began working on it in 2016. So while The Predator was going on, they they were like, "Hey, why don't we do this thing that's way better than what we're producing here?" And they give him the go ahead. Isn't that crazy? It's like it's like okay, we have this product and we have this completed thing. But let's go ahead and revamp it in this way too, and that they allowed them to
Yeah.
do that in the beginning is amazing. That's a miracle in itself. And Matt will be taking on the Predators production stuff, but it's kind of a parallel to that as well. Of like, wow, somebody actually took a chance on this and it paid off in spades. So we'll have that information later on. But the same thing with this movie too. They decided to take a chance on this, even though they had a finished product and they had a different direction that they were taking the franchise. They gave Prey a chance, and it paid off in spades. Absolutely. And I kind of wanted to talk too about like just the beauty of the visuals and everything. I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, but it was filmed in the First Nation land outside of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And like the landscape and everything is very familiar to me because it looks very similar to North Idaho. So I'm just like I'm looking at these shots and I'm like that could be filmed right outside my house if and I know that some people have problems with things that look like the place they live in, but for me that didn't take me out of the picture. That only made me appreciate the beauty of nature all the more. And I'm just going to bring this up to one little side note on the production is that mud pit that they had in the film. That
Hmm.
was a real mud pit that they created in that landscape, and they had to film in there like over a week. And apparently, by the end of that week, it was pretty nasty and foul. So anybody who was dropped into that thing, as soon as they were dropped in, it just released this gaseous, noxious
Oh.
disgustingness that was just awful. Apparently, like the worst. And so that's probably one of the reasons why they don't film on location with things like that in major movie studios, but it looks fantastic. So I appreciate everybody who Mid Thunder especially for getting into that nastiness of a mud pit
Yeah.
because it was just it was bad for those actors as well. So, like I said, they that was in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and all the cast they went through a rigorous training camp too, that lasted about 4 weeks. And Mid Thunder herself did some additional training, and she practiced with a tomahawk throwing as well. And this is where they actually came up with the idea of actually attaching a rope to the tomahawk. Trachtenberg, while they were going through this training, the director, he thought it would be really good to have that rope on the tomahawk so she could quickly recover it, and you see that used throughout the film as well.
So that actually works?
That apparently it works, and obviously in
Jeez,
the
I thought
movie,
that
yeah, in the movie you can tell
I
that
thought all of that was fake.
no, oh, I mean in the movie, yes, they do have, you can tell that it's digitally altered. But they decided that, she can't keep running over and grabbing a tomahawk and going over here and grabbing a tomahawk. So it kind of shores up the action in a way. And so I'm sure, like, just looking at the movie, I didn't read about it, but I'm sure looking at the movie that they did digitally enhance those scenes of her pulling it back with the rope.
Yeah.
But it's just a storytelling element that shored up the time frame to keep the pace of the movie going forward.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
I've actually been trained to throw a tomahawk myself, and I would never want one coming directly towards me. But it was still a really cool concept. I just thought,
Yeah.
nah, I would never do that. But I mean, like you said, it takes care of a problem that they have, and that once you throw one, your weapon's gone until you
Yeah.
get back over there. So,
Right? And as I mentioned before, I was really, really, really impressed with how this film was shot, and they tried to use as much natural light as possible, and they kept all the artificial light down to a minimum whenever they were shooting this. And during the night sequences, they relied on light from the torches to light up the scene, so those torches were used as their primary light source.
oh yeah,
But with those primary light sources, they also did have some LEDs on the torches just to enhance the light just a little bit. So it's not completely natural, but they tried to do it as much as they possibly could. And the nice thing, too, about filming up in Canada is they have more daylight than they would if they were in LA. So they got hours and hours and hours of more daylight to film in. So it helped with the production. It helped them keep on schedule, and they had a lot more time during the day to film in that magic hour, as they talk about. And so hats off, really, to me, for the cinematographer, Jeff Cutter, who filmed the entire movie in anamorphic format, which is a technique of shooting in widescreen picture on a standard 35 millimeter film. So it gave it this really wide landscape, this beautiful scenery and everything. So just the way it's filmed is awesome. So hats off to you, Jeff Cutter. And I wonder too, I'd like to look up who did the cinematography for The Revenant, and if it was somebody, if it was Jeff Cutter. I don't think it was, but I can see that those films do look very similar when it comes to how they shot in nature as well. So it made the scenery look amazing. So those are some of the things that I looked up for the production value for our show here for Prey. I thought it was really cool. They did an amazing job. Hats off to everybody once again. This was an awesome movie. So that's all we got for Prey, and now we're gonna move over to our Silver Screen Sundays feature. What is that, Matt?
it is Predator, a classic movie from 1987.
1987.
Definitely a star vehicle
Yeah.
for Arnold Schwarzenegger, and one of my favorite action films of all time.
Right?
So
boom, Predator.
yeah. Yeah, I always love rewatching this movie
Yeah.
because it just includes all the stuff that you expect from those old Arnold Schwarzenegger movies like Commando, Last Action Hero. All of that kind of thing is thick
Yeah.
in this movie, except for it's rated R, and it it takes that rating seriously. Which
Oh, yeah.
I have to say, with Prey, for those of you that have seen, I think it was Alien versus Predator, they went with a PG-13 rating there, and I think one or the others, but you're disappointed that the Predator wasn't represented well, and their utility and the type of viciousness that they fight with. They're very much a hand-to-hand combat villain at some points in the old movies, and they also rely on that little shoulder gun. All that kind of stuff is given sort of a refresh in this movie, and like I said, you can kind of see that this tech that the Predator is working with is different and maybe just a little bit more primitive than what we see the Predator use in the movie Predator.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love that the 80s style effects in Predator are not ones that really wear well with age, but
Yeah.
they are part of what makes that film. It's not the right word, but charming. It's
Yeah.
kind of like watching the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like those masks don't look good at all anymore, but
Oh yeah.
it's part of the fun of watching that movie. So
Right.
Predator is definitely an 80s film, and that is exactly why I love it so much. Whenever they go in to the guerrilla camp and they're meant to rescue the hostages, rewatching it again, I was like, there's no hostages alive. There, just
Yeah.
everything is blown
And Arnold
completely to
Schwarzenegger, who
literal
plays,
smithereens. You
yeah,
couldn't say smithereens until you had Looney Tunes and the movie Predator.
right?
Because I think Rambo maybe does something similar with how effectively they blow up
Yeah.
real buildings in the jungle.
Right? And
But
Arnold Schwarzenegger, his
just
character
crazy.
Dutch, keeps saying in the movie, "We're a rescue team. We're not here to do your dirty work." And in his rescue team, in his rescue tactics, he just blows up everything, stabs a guy through the chest, turns around and says, "Stick around," and laughs about
Yeah.
killing a man. And it's like, so it's like, what are you talking about, Dutch? You say you're a rescue, you're a rescue group, you're a rescue team, but you kill everybody. You're heavily armed. What are you talking about here?
There is no way any group of gorillas is withstanding these six people and the amount of weaponry
Yeah.
that they have on them.
Stop
When,
bullshitting me,
when-
Dylan.
right. Whenever they think they even hear the predator in one part of the jungle, I mean, just everyone unloads their weapons in one singular direction, not at any real spot.
Yeah.
Just completely obliterates everything
No
moving
real
over
tactic.
there.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just pure 80s mayhem. I mean, they have
Love it.
shot after shot of literally just the heroes of the movie, the cast, which is an awesome all-star. If you could dream it, they're there in this movie.
Right?
Cast.
I know.
Just wailing on this predator creature, and of course, what makes it so formidable is that it withstands all of this craziness.
Right? I mean, you got Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed in there, Jesse Ventura, The Body,
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, geez, yeah, you have all this machismo in this movie. It's just all the
Yeah.
craziness.
Yeah, and like you said, you just know from the cast list, there's no rescuing about this. Like
No.
they get, wherever they're going to go and blow it completely to hell. But then they're going to have the rest of a movie to deal with. So you have this formidable alien foe that, interestingly enough, as a production note, came directly from the Rocky franchise as a way to give a Rocky-style hero something else completely different to deal with. And as a little, like I said, production point of interest here, the two writers on Predator, Jim and John Thomas, had sort of a lighthearted joke going at the end of Rocky 4 saying, well, now what are we going to get him to do? Who's he going to fight? Might as well fight some alien from outer space. And they took that joke basically and ran with it, created a script, and then slipped it under the door of Michael Levy, a producer at Fox, Joel Silver's office, another producer over there who had produced Commando. And they decided, well, this sounds pretty good. But we've already had Sly Stallone in the Rocky franchise. And I just worked with this great actor over in Commando, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So let's give it to him and his team. And Arnold took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
Originally, this was going to just be Arnold's show. He was going to go in there against all odds, fight the Predator, and win. But Arnold didn't necessarily like that kind of dynamic. He'd
That's
done that
bullshit.
thing with Commando.
Right.
So he decided to include a team. He was going to go in there, like you said, with a rescue squad of essentially mercenaries. And it led
We are
to
going
the
to rescue you
development.
from life.
Right. But it led to the development of procurement of this great talent by bringing all those actors that you mentioned together, as well as Shane Black as
Right.
Hawkins, Bill Duke as Mac, just eating up every scene that he
Right.
is in as Mac. Some of the best lines in that movie, I
Oh,
think, really go to Mac.
yeah.
There's tons of
I
lines,
don't know. Arnold
and
had some
I
good
love
ones
them
too.
all.
So
Huh?
Arnold, as Dutch, had some really good lines too. Some of the best.
Oh yeah, I mean, so does
Dylan,
Uh,
you
everybody's
son
got
of a
one, yeah,
bitch.
and they just nail it. Sonny
Yeah.
Lanham as Billy, the Native American tracker that they have. Just that scene of him staring into the jungle. He knows something's right there,
Right.
and he can't tell what it is. And that face that he makes, Arnold like hits him on the shoulder, and he just, you know, out of uh, out of the concentrated mode that he was in, knowing that he was staring at something unhuman ahead of him.
Hmm.
Um, everyone just tore it up in this movie,
Yeah, they
which
did.
I absolutely love. But yeah, Arnold insisted that this be a team movie, and so they made it happen, and we got the movie that we see today. I love the ending, though. I love the that it comes back to Arnold getting in sort of that primitive, primal mode, and
Yeah.
basically setting up the 1990 sequel Home Alone,
Yeah,
right?
there you go. I think Home Alone drew
Taking all the
inspiration
traps
from
and
the
everything.
Predator. So
Right.
no, I don't think they did. So
Yeah.
don't quote me on that, guys.
But no, so it ends so well
Hmm.
with all the setup. I mean, it's just great. The mud, the traps, Arnold really being bested by the Predator. You know, the tension is there
Hmm.
throughout this movie. You just the jungle is a character in and of itself. It's so thick and so dense, and you can't see very far ahead of you. That literally, I remember watching this as a kid, thinking any moment this crazy thing's going to jump out,
Hmm.
and it does. So it freaked me right out as a kid, and I loved all the action in it. I loved the cast. It was great from beginning to end. Like I said, one of my favorite action films. So 9 out of 10
Yeah.
for me, buddy. What about you?
I would say, for me, yeah, this it hits the mark on all things. We didn't even mention like the amazing soundtrack of this thing, brought to you by Alan Silvestri. I mean, and if you listen
Yep.
to it, I going back and watching it this time around, I totally heard a lot of Back to the Future, which Alan Silvestri actually does that
I
as
was
well.
gonna say the same
Right?
thing. There's all those
Dun, dun, dun,
like,
dun, dun,
you
dun,
know,
dun, dun, dun.
action sequence beats in there that sound just like
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah.
It was perfectly done. I absolutely love it. I actually watched this too with my girlfriend here, and she had never seen it before, and she absolutely
Oh,
loved
such
it.
a crime.
Right? So it was awesome getting to see that with her, and like, yeah, she really enjoyed it. Absolutely.
Mm.
Like, I love this movie. I watched this movie probably when I was younger than I should have been. I remember I was a kid and I went over to my friend's house down the street named Matt. No relation to this guy down here, but a different Matt who and we were watching it on TV and everything, and that was my first experience with it. And as a little kid, seeing
Yeah.
Arnold take on this alien and take him down was just amazing. And it's like I'm always flashback to that moment whenever I watch this film again. It has such a place in my heart. I absolutely love it. I'm also going to give it a 9 out of 10. A for me. It's definitely one that holds up pretty well. There's a couple things in there that are iffy, and as fathers, we're not going to be showing this to our kids anytime soon. Neither are we going to be
No.
showing Prey to our kids anytime soon. And if you are
Yeah.
showing your children this, shame on you. You know, just like watching Squid Games with your kids. Don't do that either.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But
Yeah, no, the biggest questionable stuff for
mhm.
me that brings it down to that 9 is some of that stuff that they did in so many 80s movies.
So
Like
many.
you mentioned the music.
Yeah.
There are clearly times where they just reuse parts of the musical track
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah.
Like just to extend an action sequence out, they basically cut and paste. Of course,
Mhm.
that was not the procedure back then. It was not as easy as that.
Right?
But yeah, so there's some of those weird editing tactics of 80s films where it just are not that smooth in some of the action.
Mhm.
And of course, like we mentioned, you have to deal with a massive amount of one liners
Right?
in this movie. And if those aren't your thing, if you can't deal with Arnold yelling, stick around as he throws a machete through some guy, or Jesse Ventura
Stick
talking
around.
about how he has no time to bleed, then this isn't going to be your movie.
No, it's not. Ooh,
But
you know,
it's definitely one of my favorites.
yeah. Oh, and we didn't even talk about, like, how the Predator himself was supposed to be played by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yes,
He was
that's right.
right, and he was
Yeah,
going to
this
play
was
it.
going to be like a precursor to the Expendables with all of these action heroes in it
Right?
from the 80s. And then John Claude Van Damme just didn't quite measure up, literally.
Literally. And I think he actually showed up. He was on set for a little bit of time too, during the
but
shoot.
in the suit, he just wasn't as tall as they were hoping.
No.
He's 5'9". The guy that they ended up getting is a gentleman named Kevin Peter Hall, and this dude is 7'2", even without the
Yeah, if you
suit.
can see him on the one below here, he's the one in the middle, right there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, right there.
So
That's Kevin Peter Hall.
crazy tall,
So
right?
tall.
And you can see him in these loving and enduring shots of him with the rest of the cast or with Arnold. And this is him, of course, the helmet that he has to wear adds some more height, but being a massively imposing human being just on his own, he nailed the role
Yeah.
and
There
still
he is
was
again.
incredibly spry running around in all of that heavy
Right.
prosthetic. So, yeah, hats off to Kevin Peter Hall. And I say we also got to give it out to the guy that played the Predator in Prey. His name is Dane DiLigero. And he
Dane
comes
DiLigero!
in, yeah, an NBA background. I'm sorry, he wasn't in the NBA, but a basketball background. Of course, he's 6'9", and he put on the helmet and suit this time around and is very imposing. That's what's always amazed me about this villain is that you really can't even keep up with him. The shots overhead of them running through the long grass and the Predator catching up really quickly. That speed obviously was computer effects through some of those shots,
Right.
but you still get that whenever Dane is playing him in the close-ups. He's a formidable, very fast, imposing figure.
Yeah.
That
Very feral.
Amber,
So.
what's that?
Very feral.
Yeah, exactly. There's an animalistic nature to him, even though you can understand that this is an intelligent being that is hunting these people. Poor Amber Midthunter again.
Yeah.
But yeah, loved both of these films from beginning to end. I really enjoyed taking the classic and viewing against the
Me too.
newest part of this franchise. It was so cool to see, and I really can't wait to see what comes next.
Yeah, and when we were talking about like the different movies to review, and like we want to kind of do a newer movie and an older movie as well, and so when we talked about Prey, obviously we're gonna review the Predator. It was the perfect combination, and getting to go back.
One more reason to watch the old one.
Oh, you got to, and I don't know if you know this, Matt, but you got a little bit of something there on your, a little something.
Yeah.
On the side here.
Something right in here.
just right in.
Super fan. Had to get it on for Predator and Prey today.
I can't see you. Like, you're kind of blending in there. It's like, I don't know. Where'd he go?
Yeah.
Where's Matt? I can't see him. He's out of there. So yeah,
That's right.
we both absolutely enjoyed this one. It looks like we had a problem with the stream. It kind of went out on us, but I got us connected again there. So I do apologize to folks that were watching this live, but it has been recording the whole time. We'll upload the full video of this today as well, so that you guys can enjoy it and the things that we missed out. So a little connection issue.
Absolutely.
I don't know why it did that. So technical difficulties all over the place, but at least we got to talk about this. We got to enjoy this with you guys. If you haven't seen Prey and you've gone through this whole video, hopefully convinced you to watch it, and you're kind of spoiled a little bit. I don't think we had any major spoils on. I don't think so. I think we did okay.
And it's an experience.
It is.
You got to watch it, and you'll just enjoy it for the ride.
You will, and just the cinematography, the acting, it's amazing. Go back and watch the Predator too. So the Predator you could probably skip, but Predator, 1987 Predator, you're good to go. Sorry, Shane Black.
No way.
I know. And you might love that out there, but I personally didn't enjoy that as much as I was really excited for that film too back in the day. Like, when it was coming out, I was like, oh man, Shane Black, who starred in the original Predator, is like gets to go back and direct one. And I was like, I like the premise, I like the story, and then I went and watched it, and I was like, And at the end, they have like the Predator suit that they have the human wear that they're gonna go off into space and fight them. It's like, just what?
Yeah, it was just kind of out of left field, and I understood what they were going for, but it really depends on if that's your taste.
Yeah.
So
thanks for joining us where we bash on the Predator here on Fatherly Fandom. But in the meantime, if you haven't already, make sure that you smash up that subscribe button. Go take your tomahawk to it, snatch it in there. Take your bow and arrow and shoot up that like button on this video if you can. We'd really appreciate it. You can hit us up on all of those social medias if you were. So we're on a lot of things now. So we're on let's see here. We gotta pull that out. We got in the back.
Twitch, YouTube,
we're
Instagram,
on YouTube. We're on Facebook at Fatherly Fandom. We're on Instagram at Fatherly Fandom. You can see the trend here. And now we're on Twitch, so we're going to be going live and doing our live streams on Twitch at Fatherly Fandom 1, so you can go and check that out there. So lots of different stuff. Our main one is YouTube. You'll catch our other videos on there as well. We're reviewing She-Hulk right now, so we do that on a weekly basis. We're reviewing House of the Dragon, which comes out tonight. We're going to be watching that and reviewing that later on. I think we're going to be recording that tomorrow, right, Matt? On Monday?
Or the Rings of Power.
And the Rings of Power as well. So, we're going to be reviewing that. That came out on Friday. That's going to be coming out every Friday is the Rings of Power. So, reviewing lots of other stuff. You can check those all out on YouTube. Those aren't live streams. So, if you really want to be up with all the things that we're reviewing, make sure that you subscribe to our channel. That's the best way to stay up to date with what's coming out. And if you're watching all these shows, please join us and watch those videos, support us, give us a like, and like I said, subscribe to all the videos. So that's pretty much it for us today. Matt, you got anything else that you want to?
Nope, I got nothing else at all. You covered
it,
and I really enjoyed this. And
where's the dad joke? I thought we had a dad joke in here.
Dad jokes aren't funny.
Oh yeah, I dropped the ball.
Oh no. Okay, well, no dad joke this week, guys. So sorry.
Yeah.
Much apologies, but we've had a lot of fun here. A blast with you guys. We hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Go ahead and watch the next episode of House of the Dragon tonight, and we'll talk about it early this week. All right? All right.
All right.
So, from our families to yours, guys, have a good one.